Temp agencies typically use two methods for employing workers. Firstly, they can hire individuals as W-2 employees, meaning the agency pays a salary or hourly wage, and the worker is considered an employee of the agency for tax and legal purposes. Secondly, they can contract with individuals as 1099 contractors. In this case, the agency does not employ the worker but instead contracts with them as an independent contractor, making the worker responsible for their own taxes and insurance. In Georgia, it is generally illegal for an unlicensed individual to perform electrical work. However, there are exceptions to this rule. Firstly, apprentices who are registered and working under the supervision of a licensed electrician are permitted to perform limited electrical tasks. Secondly, employees of licensed companies, individuals employed by a licensed electrical contractor, are permitted to perform electrical work under the direct supervision of a licensed electrician. Thirdly, industrial exemptions apply to individuals who work in certain industries, such as manufacturing or power generation, who may be exempt from the licensing requirement if their work is supervised by a licensed engineer. Temp agencies that place electrical workers in Georgia must comply with these licensing requirements. They can achieve this in several ways. Firstly, by hiring only licensed workers, meaning the agency only hires electricians who hold a valid Georgia electrical license. Secondly, they can hire unlicensed workers and assign them to licensed supervisors. In this scenario, the agency may hire unlicensed workers but must assign them to work under the direct supervision of a licensed electrician. Thirdly, they can contract with licensed electrical contractors, meaning the agency contracts with licensed electrical contractors to provide workers for specific projects. If working as a temp electrical worker in Georgia and being paid with a 1099, it is crucial to ensure compliance with one of the exceptions to the licensing requirements. Failure to comply may result in engaging in illegal activity and potential penalties. It is also important to consider obtaining liability insurance for personal protection in case of accidents. Verifying the temp agency's compliance with the electrical licensing requirements in Georgia is highly recommended. Contacting the Georgia State Electrical Contractors Licensing Board is an option for clarification if any concerns arise. Understanding the different employment options that temp agencies use and the licensing requirements for electrical work in Georgia is important for both the agency and the individual worker. Ensuring compliance with these regulations protects all parties involved and helps maintain a safe and legal working environment. Remember, licensing requirements are put in place to ensure that electrical work is performed safely and competently, minimizing the risk of accidents and property damage. When working as a temp electrical worker, it is your responsibility to understand and adhere to these requirements. Similarly, temp agencies have a responsibility to ensure that their workers are qualified and licensed to perform the tasks they are assigned. This includes verifying licenses, providing adequate supervision, and ensuring that workers are aware of all applicable safety regulations. Understanding the difference between being a W-2 employee and a 1099 contractor is also crucial. W-2 employees are typically entitled to certain benefits, such as unemployment insurance and workers' compensation, while 1099 contractors are not. Additionally, 1099 contractors are responsible for paying their own self-employment taxes, which can be a significant expense. If you are unsure whether you are being properly classified as an employee or contractor, it is advisable to consult with a tax professional or attorney. In addition to licensing requirements, there are also various safety regulations that apply to electrical work. These regulations are designed to protect workers from electrical hazards such as shock, electrocution, and arc flash. Some common safety regulations include the use of personal protective equipment, such as gloves and eye protection, as well as following lockout-tagout procedures when working under energized equipment. It is essential to be familiar with these regulations and to follow them at all times when performing electrical work. Working with electricity can be dangerous, and it is never worth taking shortcuts or compromising safety for the sake of expediency. If you are ever unsure about how to perform a task safely, it is always best to ask for help or clarification from a qualified supervisor or electrician. By following these guidelines, you can help ensure that you are working safely and legally as a temp electrical worker in Georgia. Remember to prioritize safety, understand the licensing requirements, and be aware of your rights and responsibilities as an employee or contractor. This approach will help you protect yourself, your colleagues, and the public from the risks associated with electrical work. Furthermore, maintaining accurate records of your work experience and any training or certifications you have obtained is essential. This documentation can be helpful when applying for jobs or seeking further education or licensing in the electrical field. It is also a good idea to stay up to date in the latest industry standards and best practices. The electrical field is constantly evolving and new technologies and techniques are always being developed. By staying informed, you can ensure that you are providing the highest quality work and staying ahead of the curve. Networking with other electrical professionals is another way to stay current and expand your knowledge. Attending industry events, joining professional organizations, and participating in online forums can provide valuable opportunities to learn from others and share your own experiences. Remember that continuing education is important throughout your career. Consider taking courses or workshops to enhance your skills and knowledge in specific areas of electrical work. This will not only make you a more valuable employee or contractor but also increase your earning potential. When working as a temp electrical worker, it is important to establish clear communication with both the temp agency and the client company. Make sure you understand the scope of the work you are expected to perform, the schedule, and any specific safety requirements. If you have any concerns or questions, do not hesitate to ask for clarification. Additionally, it is important to document all work performed and any materials used. This documentation can be helpful in resolving any disputes or issues that may arise. It is also important to maintain a professional attitude and appearance at all times. Remember that you are representing both the temp agency and the client company, and your actions can reflect positively or negatively on both. Be punctual, respectful, and courteous to everyone you interact with, and always strive to provide excellent customer service. By following these guidelines, you can build a strong reputation as a reliable and skilled electrical worker, which can lead to more opportunities and higher pay. Also, remember that working as a temp electrical worker can be a great way to gain experience, learn new skills, and explore different areas of the electrical field. Take advantage of the opportunities that come your way, and always be willing to learn and grow. With hard work, dedication, and a commitment to safety, you can build a successful and rewarding career in the electrical industry. One aspect to consider when working as a temp is the variety of work you may encounter. Unlike a permanent position with a single company, you may be assigned to different projects and work environments on a regular basis. This can be both challenging and rewarding, as it exposes you to different types of electrical systems and allows you to develop a broader range of skills. However, it also requires you to be adaptable and quick to learn. Before starting any new project, take the time to familiarize yourself with the specific requirements and safety protocols of the site. Ask questions if anything is unclear, and do not assume that you know how things are done. Each job site may have its own unique procedures and hazards, and it is important to be aware of them before you begin working. Additionally, be prepared to work with different teams of people on each project. Building strong relationships with your coworkers is essential for effective communication and collaboration. Be respectful of their experience and knowledge, and be willing to share your own expertise as well. Teamwork is critical for ensuring that electrical work is completed safely and efficiently. Another important consideration when working as a temp is the need to be proactive in seeking out work. Temp agencies typically have a pool of workers available, and they assign projects based on availability and skills. To increase your chances of getting assigned to desirable projects, it is important to stay in contact with your temp agency and let them know when you are available. Additionally, consider marketing yourself to potential clients directly. If you have a specific area of expertise or a track record of success, let the agency know so they can match you with projects that align with your skills. Building a strong relationship with your temp agency can also lead to more opportunities and better pay. Be reliable, professional, and responsive to their requests, and they will be more likely to think of you when new projects become available. Additionally, consider asking for feedback on your performance. This will give you valuable insights into areas where you can improve and help you to become a more valuable asset to the agency. Remember that working as a temp is not just a temporary job, it is an opportunity to build your skills, expand your network, and advance your career. By taking a proactive approach and focusing on continuous improvement, you can make the most of your temp assignments and achieve your professional goals. Furthermore, it is important to understand the specific rules and regulations governing temp agencies in Georgia. These regulations are designed to protect workers from exploitation and ensure that they are treated fairly. Some key provisions of these regulations include requirements for temp agencies to register with the state, provide workers with written contracts outlining the terms of their employment, and pay workers promptly and accurately. Additionally, temp agencies are prohibited from discriminating against workers based on race, gender, religion, or other protected characteristics. If you believe that a temp agency has violated your rights, you have the right to file a complaint with the Georgia Department of Labor. The department will investigate your complaint and take appropriate action if necessary. It is also important to be aware of your rights as an employee or contractor under Georgia law. As mentioned earlier, W-2 employees are typically entitled to certain benefits, such as unemployment insurance and workers' compensation, while 1099 contractors are not. Additionally, employees are typically protected from wrongful termination and discrimination, while contractors are not. If you are unsure about your rights, it is advisable to consult with an attorney or employment law expert. Understanding your rights and responsibilities is essential for protecting yourself from exploitation and ensuring that you are treated fairly in the workplace. Remember that you have the power to advocate for yourself and demand fairer treatment. Do not be afraid to speak up if you believe that your rights are being violated. By working together, we can create a more just and equitable working environment for all electrical workers in Georgia. The information provided is intended for educational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. It is essential to consult with qualified professionals for specific guidance on employment law, licensing requirements, and safety regulations. Always prioritize safety, follow applicable regulations, and seek clarification when needed to ensure a safe and compliant working environment in the electrical field.